What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Vince Hunts podcast. I am your host, Vince Stutzman, and I've got some cool stories to tell you from the last couple weeks of turkey season. It's been an absolute grind out here trying to get on birds. So the other day, I can't remember what day it was. I think it was like April 23rd or something in there. The night before, I was standing behind my house trying to roost a bird in the field that I had put Rowan on a couple weeks before, and we weren't able to get it done. So I was just standing back there and trying to roost him, and then I heard a gobble probably 500 yards away on another property that I had permission for. And so I sprinted down there, ran into the edge of the woods. I just kind of ran down this field edge and saw the bird on the limb. So he was probably only 50 yards away when I saw him on the limb. So we got in tight and came back to the house and then went back out at like 10:30, set up my blind. I didn't mark him. This was dumb, but I didn't mark him when I was standing there on the edge of the field. So kind of from memory, I just marked where I thought he was and then went in there and was hoping that I could get close but not too close. So took the blind in there, set it up, set decoys up, and went back the next morning early. I knew I had to get in there super early so that he wouldn't be able to see me because I knew I was going to be close. So got in there at like, I want to say it was like 4:45. And we just sat, and he gobbled for the first time at 5:47. It was still pitch black, and wasn't really expecting him to gobble that early, but he did. So he sat on the limb for another hour and a half just gobbling his head off. And then he flew down, but he flew the opposite way that I needed him to. So I just sat there. I was kind of like wanting him to either get out of there fast or come in fast because I needed to get to work. I am self-employed, but I still wanted to get going and get the job started. So he flew down the opposite way, and I kept yelping at him. He kept gobbling. And then all of a sudden, two jakes popped up. I put my binos on them. They were out at like 60, 70 yards coming in, and they were two jakes. And then all of a sudden I saw him right behind him, and he was coming. They came in pretty quick. They closed the distance fast, but they wouldn't commit to my decoys, which this whole season I've been struggling to get birds to commit to the decoys. It's been very, very frustrating and very tough, so they wouldn't come to the decoys, and they just kind of skirted by this big tree that I actually was sitting against when I killed my bird last year on like May 4th or something. But they skirted by this tree, and I ranged the tree, and it was 39 yards. And I was like, I really need this bird closer, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So he came strutting in, and there's been quite a few opportunities that I've seen be missed this season just by not pulling the trigger. So I knew he was going to come through at like 40 yards. So I have my second pin is 40. So I got a double pin sight, and it's 20 and 40. So I didn't even move my sight. I just pulled back as he came strutting through. And I'm running a hinge, which I found out is not going to work for turkeys because they hardly ever stop. It has to be perfect for them to be strutting or something and be holding still. So it just wasn't working for me. The release was not going off, and I wasn't going to jerk it. So I should have, in hindsight, let down and got a different position, but I was filming. The bird was about to walk out of view. I didn't want him just to walk off and me not get a shot. In hindsight, I probably should have just let him walk off, and I could have worked him a little bit more with the calls and got him to maybe pop that hill and come in closer, but I didn't. So he was walking, and I was sort of like following him, trying to pull through my shot and follow him at the same time with the pin, and then he kind of like stopped, and I kept going a little bit, and my release went off, and I just hit him too far forward. He went off, and I got out of the blind, found some blood, and I was able to track him for like 90 yards or something. And then I just did a body search, and probably for 30 minutes or so, I just searched the area. Couldn't find anything, couldn't find more blood. And so I left. I had to get to work, and then went to work, came back, and I talked to my wife. I was like, I really need to go back in there and just check things out, see if I can find him. So I went down in there for probably another 45 minutes and could not find the bird. I went back to blood again, tried to retrack him, and same situation, like he was gone. Reviewed the footage. It was definitely far forward. It was probably like, realistically, it was probably 2 inches forward. If I would have hit him 2 inches to the left, I think I would have killed him pretty quick. I think he would have went down in sight. So a very disappointing hunt. He was a really big bird, and I haven't heard him gobble. I haven't seen him. So yeah, it was very unfortunate that I wasn't able to get that bird. But that's, honestly, I hate when people say this, but it's bow hunting. Bow hunting is extremely difficult, and it's not guaranteed. And yeah, it's really hard to get it done, especially when you're self-filming. There's a lot of extra pressure to, be able to make that shot. And I don't feel like the shot was what was bad. Like I didn't make a poorly executed shot. Like my shot was good, but I just wasn't in the right spot, and the bird was moving. A lot of things happening at one time that, you need 100 things to go right to kill a bird with a bow, and you only need one thing to go wrong to not kill him. So one of those situations, very big bummer. And since then, it's been just absolute struggle. I have been hunting multiple times, and haven't been able to see any birds. All my properties have kind of just dried up, and the birds have just disappeared. A couple of my properties have multiple birds on them, and now they're gone. I haven't heard a gobble, and I've been out scouting the last 2 mornings at daybreak, and I haven't heard a gobble. This morning I heard a gobble, and it was crazy, but I heard this gobble, and I was like, I know that's not on my property, but I'm going to go find it, just because I knew it was crazy far away, and I wanted to pinpoint it and actually see how far away it was. So I jumped in my truck and drove over to the chunk of woods that I thought he was in, and I did an Onyx measurement. It was 1.4 miles away that I heard this bird gobble, and when I got close to him, I could tell why. Like, the whole woods was echoing. He had a crazy gobble. I went back over there tonight, tried to get permission. People weren't home, so we're going to keep trying that spot, because that's kind of the only spot I know where turkeys are, and I got a private land tag, so we got to find private land, which really stinks because I know where a lot of birds are on public. But it is what it is. I like the private land tag because I can hunt all season, don't have pressure to like kill something right away, which next year I'll probably take that pressure and kill something right away, because taking other people first is not a great idea. So next year I'm going to get my bird first and then focus on other people scouting and stuff, because this year it's not been good for either of us. So I haven't been able to kill a bird, and I haven't been able to get people on birds. It's been a really weird year. Like, for one, I'm bow hunting, which is hard, and the other guy I went hunting with was bow hunting, and then Grant was bow hunting as well, and then my 5-year-old was shotgun hunting, but he's a 5-year-old, so it's been really tough. But we did have a successful trip to Canada last weekend, which was super fun. We drove up there Thursday evening, last Thursday, and went out. I think we got there at like 5 or 6. 5. I think it was 5 o'clock. We got there, and we went out scouting that night. Saw 3 birds roosted, but we were too far away, so we couldn't tell what they were. But we were like, well, those are the only birds we have roosted. So we went there first thing in the morning, and we heard one gobble, I think, within range, but like over the hill. And then those 3 birds ended up being hens. They flew down and came to like 10 yards of us. So if it would have been a tom with them, it would have been absolutely perfect. But it didn't work out. So I wasn't going to chase that bird that we heard gobbling. He kind of sounded like a Jake anyways. And he went quiet as soon as he flew down. So we decided to go to a different farm. Or I'm trying to think. I think we've only killed 1 bird off of it. But we've hunted it before and had good success as far as seeing birds. So we went over there and we pulled up, and there were 2 strutters in the field and a hen. So we pulled behind the bush, and they call it the bush up there in Canada. I call it the woods, but pulled behind the bush and walked in, snuck in there. We got set up on the edge of the field, and I just started doing some calling. It was really windy, and I think it rained the night before, so it was kind of like birds weren't gobbling very much, and it was just really weird, kind of following the trend of hunting here in Michigan. Like, my season has been really weird. So started yelping, and we sat there for probably 5 minutes. No birds gobbling. We didn't see them coming, so I was like, well, I'm going to get up and sneak down this field edge, see what I can see. And in Canada, I had my shotgun. I was ready to kill something. So I snuck down this field edge and was not seeing them. And I was like, what the world? Did they hear us coming in? Did they split? Like, what is going on? And there was a hill, and I didn't want to peek over that hill. I was like, if I peek over that hill, I'm in plain sight, and I'm going to get busted. So, and it wouldn't have been in range of me. Like, if I peeked over, it won't have been in range. So I was turning around to go back to the guys that were still sitting on the first tree, and I turned towards the woods, and I just saw a redhead, and I was like, oh shoot. So I just like froze immediately, and he was perfectly in a hole, and I knew it was a pretty far shot, but I was like, well, this is my chance. He already busted me. So I just clicked the safety off, spun on him, and got that dot on his head, pulled the trigger, and let him have it, and his head just flopped back, and he folded on the ground and just started flopping like crazy. And then the other one that was with him kind of stuck around a little bit, but we weren't able to get I wasn't able to get the guys up to me fast enough to be able to get a second shot on the other one. And you're not allowed to kill 2 turkeys in one day. So I had 2 tags, but you can't kill a double in one day. So that one got away. And then I think that was the last. No, we went to one other spot, checked it out. I don't think we saw anything. And then the next morning we went out, and we made a reaper decoy with my bird. So we cut the fan off, and mounted it to the wings of that bird, and it looked pretty legit. It fooled some jakes the next morning. We took it out and went probably 450, 500 yards across this field at 2 jakes in the field, and got them all fired up, and they came charging in at us. And my nephew, Bo, he's 14. He was able to get a shot off on one with his bow, and super cool experience. I've never reaped a turkey, and this is his first turkey, so like super high pressure situation, and he put an arrow in one. It ended up flying like 400 yards onto someone else's property. So we went to the edge of the property, couldn't see anything, so we just went back to the house, grabbed breakfast, and it ended up that he had to go help someone move some furniture. So my buddy Austin and I, we went out after breakfast back to the property. We searched the whole property, and we were able to get permission on the neighbors as well to go in there. And we were on our way out. I think we spent an hour or so searching around. It might not have been an hour, but we searched the neighbor's property from what we felt, was good. And we were on our way back out, and I decided to do a loop. And it was almost knee-high water, just swamp. The river was flooded. It was just a beautiful spot. So I did this loop around. Austin was in the field, and it was kind of just like a fence line. It was like a tree line separating the river and the field. And I was on the other side towards the river, and I'm just walking, and I'm looking in the bushes and everything, and all of a sudden I see him, and he's at like 5 yards. He took off running, and I was able to chase him down and grab him and take care of him. But crazy story. I mean, he literally flew 400 yards, and we were able to find him tucked in. The shot was just low. He would have died for sure, but yeah, it was a crazy experience to be able to reap him, and I mean, to have a bird at 17 yards coming in is pretty wild. So it was a fun experience. We went out the next morning, day 3, had a gobbler on the limb at like 85 yards. He pitched down, and then he had like 6 hens with him. Super vocal morning, like all the hens were yelping. He was gobbling. Jakes were gobbling. So super fun morning. We were tucked in a cedar, homemade blind with the cedar branches. Super comfy, super concealed. But he just pitched down. We didn't get in early enough to have our decoys out, so he pitched down and went to the other end of the field and then went quiet. And I think we pretty much called it a day after that. It was kind of just a chill. I think we hunted that evening to try to get him coming back to the roost. But he ended up not showing. The day I left at I think it was around noon, I was already on the way home. Austin sent me a trail cam picture of 3 gobblers walking through that same farm. So we should have went hunting that morning, but it was all good. It was a very good time, very relaxing, very fun to get a shotgun in my hand, get out there and kill a turkey. So what we have planned for this next remainder of turkey season is just tons of scouting, trying to find a bird. Like I said, all the birds have relocated, and I don't know where they are. So my goal is to be up every morning, not hunting, but just trying to find a gobble on one of the properties that I can hunt. So we're going to be running around. If we find some birds, we're going to get in there after them. We got to get we got to get some birds down. I'm stressing a little bit, but I think we can get it done. We still got 3/4 left of the month. Season runs till like June 7th on the private land tag, so I think we can get it done. It's just going to be when the birds show up, we got to be ready to go. So thank you all for listening to this podcast. It's sponsored by Someplace to Shoot. If you need anything archery related, head down to Someplace to Shoot in White Pigeon, Michigan, and go ahead and drop my name that you heard it on the podcast, and they'll get you set up. Until next time, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Vince Hunts. You can find me on Instagram at Vince Hunts, and we'll try to put out some more cool episodes for y'all. Thanks for listening. Subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.